today is President's Day, and a day I see no reason to give any type of reverence to. Why should I? I mean, there has not been a good president in my lifetime. I don't know what that's like. I've never seen a good president in my lifetime. FDR was a good president because he was cornered to be so. And there were certainly some other, decent act. I mean, Jimmy Carter is a respectable individual who's done respectable things. I disagree. In the contemporary sense, I disagree with him politically. He's against single-payer healthcare, so I disagree with him politically, but I respect his, I respect the charitable work he's done. But overall, to kind of honor this day for an office that is kind of up for sale in a political structure that is deserving of no respect whatsoever, here's what I think today should be. I think today specifically, and that, because it varies every year, right? Like President's Day, it's whichever that Monday falls on. But today also happens to be Audre Lorde's birthday. Audre Lorde, the only thing of hers I've read is Sister Outsider, and it's incredible. It's an incredible book. I highly recommend it. And Audre Lorde was an American writer, feminist, womanist, librarian, and civil rights activist. So that's something I never knew. I never knew she was a librarian. I never knew that about her. Like I said, I read Sister Outsider back in college. I loved it. Went on to read some of her other poems. She's a brilliant writer. I recommend checking her out. This is her birthday. And that's something that I consider far more noteworthy than President's Day. But Sister Outsider's great. And I never knew she was a librarian. And libraries are one of those things. Hey, by the way, there's another thing I could think to do with some of that money, Donald Trump. Put a little more money into our libraries. Libraries are essential. They benefit a community. And they are dying off, which is horrible. I'm still a library guy. I'm still a big library guy. I go to my library regularly, at least a couple times a month. I check books out. I always have a library book checked out. Always. Whenever I see, there's always a random old guy in the library who's carrying a backpack, and he's always complaining, not harshly, but mildly complaining about something, where he's just like, you guys were supposed to be open at 9 a.m., but there was no one here before 9:10. And everybody standing around is patient with that guy. And you know why everyone's patient with that guy? Because they look at him and they're like, that's us in the future. I look at that guy and I'm like, I can't, that's going to be me someday. Someday I'm going to be like, just 10 minutes I've been standing here. And I've been up since 5 a.m. I just assume that's what I'll do when I'm old. Maybe I won't, but I assume that's probably what I'll do. I know some older people that still sleep in. But, generally you start waking up earlier. So I feel like that'll be me. I feel like eventually when I can wake up early, I'm going to be that dude that's like, I really want to make an effort for fresh baked goods. So I will show up at the bakery at 5 a.m. and be like, yes, nailed it. I'm getting the first bagel out of the oven, the first donut, the first loaf, whatever it may be. And that's what I'll do. And then I'll go to the library and I'll be like, why? It's been 10 minutes. Where are you? You're supposed to be open. I know I'm being very optimistic right now. I'm assuming that in my old age, we'll still be habitating this planet and there will still be libraries. Anyway, back to Audre Lorde here. I wanted to talk about this a bit. So here's some of her quotes just on our Wikipedia. Those of us who stand outside the circle of this society's definition of acceptable women, those of us who have been forged in the crucibles of difference, those of us who are poor, who are lesbians, who are black, who are older, know that survival is not an academic skill. It is learning how to take our differences and make them strengths. For the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. They may allow us temporarily to beat him at his own game, but they will never enable us to bring about genuine change. And this fact is only threatening to those women who still define the master's house as their only source of support. That's a really powerful quote. And I recommend her work. Sister Outsider is the book I've read. I recommend that one big time, but there's a lot of her other works that you can get. And hey, get some Audre Lorde from your local library. Do that. I'm going to read some Audre Lorde this month. I got to finish the current book I'm working on. I'm reading The Dictator's Learning Curve. It's pretty dense, but it's interesting. It kind of talks about different dictatorships around the world, and it talks about different revolutions and young activists around the world. It's an interesting read. But I'm going to be reading some Audre Lorde right after that. So happy birthday, Audre Lorde. That is what is kind of in my mind today as celebratory, not so much President's Day. I don't really care. And I hope some right-wing outlet takes this and they're like, a radical comedian suggests that we celebrate Audre Lorde instead of President's Day. Yes, I do. I highly recommend it to everybody watching. All right. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your